Welcome to Baat Pachisi. On Baat Pachisi, we are discussing today the Mahanayak, the great hero, the biggest hero of Hindi film industry. And we know who he is. He is Mr. Amitabh Bachchan. He has ruled over the film industry as a colossus. Nobody has been able to match his popularity and acting powers. We all appreciate that and been big fan of him. But the Mahanayak, the great hero, the greatest hero, the colossus reigning over the Hindi film industry has not kept his promise as a loved actor of extraordinary talent and fame. The kind of love he has received from people all over the world, particularly from India and wherever the Hindi film cinema is popular. They have given him ample love and he has become very rich. But at the same time, at one point of time, he became very, very troubled. He was in a big financial trouble, under a great loan. And eventually he came out of that issue, that problem, because of the help. The help which is acknowledged by him came to him from Mr. Amar Singh, the politician come businessman come whatnot. But later on, even Mr. Amar Singh was not happy with the kind of use and throw policy of Mahanayak, the great hero, the use and throw. So Mr. Mahanayak uses people and throws them away when they are of no further value to him. That's what he said. Many times, not once. But today we are talking about another responsibility which he has never taken up and has never behaved responsibly. With responsibility, the kind of adulation and love and respect he has earned because of course, his acting and his stature and his popularity. At a particular time, he should have and could have commented on certain things which were not happening, or something very bad which was happening, particularly in the film industry and maybe elsewhere in the country. Who doesn't know that for such a long time, and maybe still in some very, very important part, there is a influence, great influence of people sitting abroad who is having a past in the terrorism and smuggling and nefarious activities. They have connection, and since he had a very top level connection in India, he may not have gone to those parties demanded by the gangsters, but others have. The others who were helpless, who were not even one tenth of stature or one fourth of stature of Mr. Amitabh Bachchan, the Mahanayak, they had to go. They had to go through that kind of a subjugation and humiliation. They had to dance on the tunes of those gangsters sitting abroad. Mahanayak never said a thing about that. He may not have gone because of his great connection in the first family of India, but he has never said anything, and neither he has said anything about the drug menace in the film industry, nor about the exploitation or the coaching couch is existing there. He had never said about that. Leave that aside. There's so many deaths in the Hindi film industry, unexplained deaths of uh, female artists and male artists, very popular one. They somehow just dropped dead, and it was their death were described as unfortunate suicides. and never were investigated, because it is said that the film industry of Bombay, the Hindi film industry of Bombay, gangsters, and so many others have a big mutually beneficial relationship. So they all benefit from that. Mahanayak could have never said anything about that. Never Mahanayak said anything when the party his wife Jaya Bachchan is member of parliament went through a horrendous crime and looting of the public property in Uttar Pradesh. Mahanayak never said anything. But elsewhere, when some people objected to something happening in the film industry, Mrs. Jaya Bachchan just went mad and said, "They are just drilling hole into my plate. थाली में छेद कर रहे हैं, इनको शर्म नहीं आनी चाहिए, जिस थाली में खाते हैं उसमें छेद करते हैं." That means he said that these people have no shame. They are trying to destroy the very plate they are eating from. But one thing more is important. Recently, a film, The Kashmir Files, have shaken up the Hindi film industry of Bombay, of which Mr. Amitabh Bacchan, Mahanayak, is an important member, very respected member, and he has appreciated the movie with a very short, explanation, short words, which neither say anything completely, and he has not tagged any of the actors and producers, so he doesn't want any benefit from his popularity to reach to these people, to see how limited narrow thinking our Mahanayak has. And Mahanayak, as he said about the Kashmir Files, that he was not aware what happened in Kashmir 32 years ago. Okay. So a person coming from such a literate and educated family, well-aware family, having an excellent command of written and spoken on the Hindi and English, and the poems and whatnot, was so unaware. So what was happening in the Kashmir? Or maybe he was aware, but because he doesn't have the kind of strong emotions, or he doesn't have guts, he didn't say anything. So, this is symptomatic of whatever kind of a use and throw personality he has. And this Mahanayak of ours, we have all seen her movies many times, and most of us have gone. The single film we have seen many times. We were, used to be fascinated by his acting and his persona and the way he behaved himself on the screen and off screen. But he doesn't have heart. The whole thing is he's extremely greedy person. By being an advertiser of anything from gold to suits to whatnot, he has demeaned himself. The selling anything is not demeaning. The marketing or the markets are not demeaning. That is not the point. The point is that this man is monetizing the people's love and affection for him because of his acting abilities, because the kind of respect and love the people have given him. He is milking that in the hardest, the most cruel, most inhuman way by acting in commercials, left side and right. That shows this person has an extreme kind of greed for money and more money, and that is the value system he conveys to the people, particularly to the younger generation and the others. So this is the value system he promotes, directly, indirectly, knowingly or unknowingly. But we cannot understand. We cannot say that he doesn't understand these things. He's a highly intelligent person who employs use and throw, as Mr. Amar Singh had said, and few others said, like Mr. Kader Khan, the member of ITA, an excellent actor and a screenwriter. He was also an engineer. And he suffered because he didn't say sir to Mr. Bachchan. So Mahanayak needs to be reminded of his Mahanayak status all the time. How can, somebody lower than him in the hierarchy of the film have guts not to call him sir? So he has vindicated. So that means this Mahanayak of ours of Hindi film industry is extremely greedy and self-centered person who has never done anything for the public cause. He has never spoken on these important issues, and he doesn't have guts to speak about the realities of what happened. And there is one example, Bemisal, the film Bemisal from 1982, directed by such a knowledgeable, respected director, Rishikesh Mukherjee. And see, his dialogue is being repeated. This is social media. In bits and pieces, we are reminded of the follies of the wrong and right, good and bad, of so many people, events, and we are able to pick something from that. And that was, he was saying in a dialect to Rakhi that, all the hill stations were made by British. But Kashmir was the hill station made by Mughals. How historically, intellectually incorrect and dishonest is this, we know, that he doesn't know about. Maybe he was reading just being an actor. But we can be surprised that, this kind of dialogue went through. It was not scrutinized by great late director Rishikesh Mukherjee, for whom we had all big admiration and used to love his films. So what it signifies? It signifies that a certain agenda was being promoted knowingly or unknowingly. So we can't say that it was unknowingly in most of the time. Some cases maybe unknowingly, but in majority of cases where it matters, it was knowingly. The Rishikesh Mukherjee, along this historical falsehood to go through a dialogue of the most popular actor of our time, and Mr. Bachchan, you know, mouthing those lines, having no second thought about the authenticity. And he comes from very educated and cultured minded. So we discussed the position and latest stand taken by our Mahanayak, our loved Mahanayak, Mr. Amitabh Bacchan, who has at last, murmured something about now we know something happened in Kashmir, but he didn't have guts to be specific. He didn't name the director, producers, so he is self-centered. He doesn't want his fame and name to accrue any benefit to somebody else. So that is his character, which has come out. His indiscriminate appearances on advertising space has killed the creativity of advertising field. He's being a wonderful actor with having a great personality and ability to carry himself so well and so admiringly. Any dialogue, three, four lines are there, and he speaks with excellent command over language and nuances. And okay, you have a new ad promoting something from gold loan to suit or anything. That's our Mahanayak Mr. Amitabh Bachchan. So And I don't think if these kind of emotions reach him, he will have any botheration. He won't bother. He doesn't bother. He's too big. He's too big to take care of such uh, criticism. But this film has, affected so many things, right? From its critics are having a totally different view for whatever reasons they have. They are right to that. But it has really uh, shaken up the whole thing. The government, the society, the press, the film industry, and so many other things. So we discussed today Amitabh Bachchan and his reaction, his expected reaction. This is what we expect from Mahanayak. Nobody else, we don't have this kind of expectation for anybody else. But nobody else is called, termed as Mahanayak, the great hero, the greatest hero, the colossus reigning over the Hindi film industry and thereby on hearts and mind of the people. So we discussed about Mr. Bachchan. So at last he has said something. He has gathered some courage. So he has been, we can say, he has been, blessed with uh, blessings of goddess Saraswati, goddess Lakshmi, but not goddess Durga. He doesn't have guts, and he must know it. So we discussed Mahanayak Amitabh Bachchan. We hope you like this little description about him and what do we expect of him and what he does, being such a loved and important person in public life. Hope you like this program. So kindly subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends, and if you want to comment, you do please comment on it. And we will be meeting soon again with another interesting Bachit to discuss. Thank you. Goodbye. See you again. Thanks.